Hi, I'm Angie Austin with Oil and Gas 360, and we are here at EnerCom's 2016 Oil and Gas Conference. And this morning we are joined by a man who's been here for all 21 years of the conference. This is the Chairman, President, and CEO of Core Laboratories, David Demshur. Welcome, David.
Thanks, Angie. It's great being here. You guys put on a great conference.
Now, step back 21 years. You just told me an interesting story about 21 years ago when you were here.
Yes, we were the first oil field service company to speak at the initial conference, and we spoke to an audience of 8 people.
Oh.
This morning we spoke to an audience of over 500 people.
Quite a change.
So the conference has done fantastic. You guys do a great job.
Well, thank you very much. All right, David, as a Core Lab executive, you've personally worked alongside E&P companies for 3 decades or more and a lot of different price cycles. So what's different this time, and what is the industry learning from this particular cycle that maybe hasn't been so fun?
Yeah, the big difference this time is the oversupply came from an unusual place. It happened in North America, and it's the first time since the 60s that we've had this much supply coming into the marketplace. So it's these tight oil reservoirs or shales that actually gain production over 5 million barrels a day. So when you look back at 2009 through 2014, we added about 5 million barrels of production per day. And of course that led to oversupply in the marketplace. Most oversupply over the last 2 or 3 decades have come from places like Russia or the Middle East. And that's what made it so different this time. However, with that being said, the reservoir types have steep decline curves. And because of the lack of investment over the last 2 years, we're now seeing a rapidly decreasing supply coming from North America. Specifically, in the US, production is already down from its peak of over 1 million barrels a day. At Core Lab, we project that production will be down from land about 1 million barrels a day this year, offset by some gains in production in the Gulf of Mexico from legacy projects of about 140,000 barrels per day. So net in the US will be down about 860,000 barrels a day in production on top of the 1 million barrels that were already down from peak production.
All right, so this is an in-depth question here. So what do you think of the companies who survive and the ones that succeed through this downturn? What do you think they'll have in common? Let's take shale producers. What will the successful 21st century post-OPEC independent shale developer look like in the years to come?
Well, they are the technological innovators. You take a great company like Pioneer Natural Resources, Occidental. These are great innovative companies that are applying technology to their oil fields. And if you look at their EURs, or their estimated ultimate recoveries from their wells, they're higher than all of their competitors in those areas because they apply science. So companies that use science and are innovative are going to be the surviving company. We've already seen it in this cycle, where we've had some 70 companies file for bankruptcy. A lot of these companies were not good clients of Core Lab because they did not use science. Companies like Pioneer Natural Resources are heavy users of science. That's what the surviving companies are going to look like.
Wow, all right. All right, David, another long question. Core references the growing importance to operators of understanding the properties of their reservoir fluids. So how does a Core Lab analysis of reservoir fluids help an operator boost EUR from a well? What data do you give an operator that they can take back and use to get more oil out of the gas of a formation?
Yes, when we look at the importance of understanding reservoir fluids, those reservoir fluids are crude oil, natural gas, and water. We look at the interreactions of those 3 fluids, and the more knowledge you have on the interaction of those 3 fluids, the more oil and gas you're going to get out of the wellbore. For instance, what we want to do is reduce the viscosity of the oil so more of it will flow.
Okay.
So we're looking at introducing other reservoir fluids, perhaps CO2, nitrogen, other heavy and light hydrocarbon gases, to reduce the viscosity of the oil so more of it will flow to the surface.
Makes
right
sense.
Now, we're working on a number of projects where we're trying to increase the recovery rate from tight oil reservoirs from about 9%, and on some projects we've gotten it as high as 12 to 15%. That helps clients increase their return on investment.
Yeah, quite an increase.
Quite an increase,
yeah.
And their free cash flow. So the more knowledge you have on your reservoir fluids and how they interact with miscible gases, the better the return you're going to have from your well and the higher your EUR is going to be.
Okay. All right, can you talk about Core's refract technologies? What are they, and how do they alter the decline curves?
Oh, okay, yes. What we're trying to do is alter the decline curve by introducing and stimulating more reservoir. For instance, two areas that we're very active in right now are the Barnett and the Haynesville. These are natural gas basins, and we're going back in and refracking some of these earlier wells that were drilled in the early 2000s. These completions and stimulations were not as sophisticated as we use today, and we left a lot of reservoir rock unstimulated. So what we're telling the client to do is introduce new perforations and go ahead and refract those new perforations, stimulating new reservoir rock, and that will result in a higher net flow of nat gas to the surface.
So retrace their steps, really.
Really, and since the well bore is already drilled, it's a cheap way to increase production significantly through a refract.
Oh, that's interesting. All right, last month the USGS came out with the conclusions from a study that it conducted in the Indian Ocean with Japan and India. The conclusion, gas locked in hydrate formations may exceed all known supplies. That's from the USGS again. So what are the hydrate formations, and have any of Core Lab scientists studied how to produce gas from the formations? And then one last little add-on to that, could hydrate gas production be the next shale boom? So all of that.
Yes, we've looked at gas hydrates really through the decades. This is a phenomenon where you have natural gas molecules that are stuck in lattices of frozen water. So these compounds, unfortunately, are highly unstable, and at certain pressures and temperatures, the gas essentially becomes very volatile. So at this stage, with the natural gas that is available from just conventional and unconventional formations, a lot easier and cheaper to produce than natural gas from hydrates. However, that being said, maybe a decade or two down the road, we will be producing natural gas from gas hydrates. That's probably some time off.
Wow. Well, I learned a little something today.
Well, very good,
So
Angie.
thank you. Wow, a couple of those ideas are really good.
Well, thanks for having us.
All right, I'm Angie Austin, and we are joined here by David Demshur. He is the Chairman, President, and CEO of Core Laboratories here with Oil and Gas 360 at EnerCom's 2016 Oil and Gas Conference. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Angie.